hopefully people will finish their coffee and come in quickly. Since we have a time-bound program and lunch is around the corner, we will start away immediately. Thank you for gracing us with your presence at this session, Creating Global Linkages with India, Outbound Opportunities. I'm truly honored to share an esteemed panel with my guests, whom I would request to please give a brief introduction of yourself, starting with the lady on my left, Ms. Sharmila Amin, please.
Hi, good afternoon. I'm Sharmila Amin. I represent a global project logistics company specializing in projects in oil and gas. I've been in the industry for 3 decades, and I'm proud to say that I paved the way for a lot of ladies to join the logistics and the women in this field. So thank you, Zaxis, and I look forward to interacting with all of you.
Thank you, Sharmila. Harish, would you like to introduce yourself?
Good afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Okay. My name is Harish Lalwani. I'm the MD of a company called Sun Logistics. We are specialized in chemical transportation, tank containers, ISO tanks, flexi tanks, IBCs, and any kind of dangerous cargoes. Beyond that, I am also a special invitee on the AMTOY association. We do training for various, I'm on their training committee, and also represent them on the BIS committee in India. Thank you.
Thanks, Harish. Mr. Chandrasekhar, would you like to introduce yourself, please?
Hello, hi. Good afternoon, everybody. I'm Chandrasekhar. I'm the CEO of Blackstone Shipping Group. Blackstone Shipping is one of the young and dynamic startup providing sustainable logistics solutions across the globe. We have presence in 9 countries with 20 offices, headquartered from Belgium. We are widely networked in Europe, US, Middle East, and India as our major continents covered. Looking forward to interact on this outbound opportunities. Of course, India is where everybody is focused on now. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chandrasekhar. So let's deep dive into the subject, the Creating Global Linkages with India, Global Opportunities. The COVID pandemic taught the world that it cannot rely on one country as a global supply hub. The pandemic caught everyone unawares, but India rose to the occasion marvelously well and found its feet pretty quickly compared to other nations. During that trying period, we became the pharmacy of the world, and our logistics industry rose to the occasion and kept the wheels of the nation churning. If ever there was any debate on the importance of logistics and supply chain, I think the pandemic laid that debate to rest once and for all. So I would like to start with the first question with Sharmila. Sharmila, what do you see as an opportunity for India post the pandemic in the global supply outbound market?
So India has emerged as a key supply hub in the recent years, particularly during the COVID-19 pandemic. Then there was a sudden surge in the demand for medical supplies, essential goods. And one of the key factors is India's large growing manufacturing sector. India has a strong manufacturing base with a diverse range of industry, which includes pharmaceutical, textiles, including electronics and automotive. And this enabled India to produce a range of goods domestically, reducing the need for imports and making it easier. So another factor is India's geographic location. India's during a COVID a lot. My own personal experience and example I would take is being a German company, we suddenly had a call from one of our office saying, please meet this representative from United Nations. And I was a bit surprised, so I went to meet him thinking, what do I have to do for this company? And when I reached there, he told me, please come along with me to this factory in MIDC in Taloja. And not realizing where we were going, we ended up going there. And this was the company which was making the N95 masks. We exported close to 10 million masks to USA. So a company which is doing project logistics, to imagine exporting masks of 5.5 grams in this kind of situation was not only challenging, but tough with no aircrafts, no freighters. So I would say we also changed and learned when the opportunity came. So you have to wait for the opportunities to change yourself to fit into a situation like this.
Thanks, Sharmila. Yes. So I think that's very insightful that from projects you had to adapt so quickly and overnight with little or no infrastructure. See, as an
Yeah, I think the reaction or how India reacted to at that COVID situation. Of course, the exports and logistics were considered as essential services, and it was opened up. So that has really given an impetus, and everybody has started. Because I still remember when we had the first 3 months of the lockdown, and all the exporters were like going nil, and we as a startup we're just scrambling. We just have to stop that. The low manufacturing costs, the technology that India has in in pharma, and I think today India is one of is opened up, and everything is opens up in the clearance, and also we can still remember that the customs still they were so cooperative that at that time they were ready to go out of their way and give solutions to the exporters or even the freight forwarders to find to keep the exports going. So that is also, I would say, as India has really stepped up at the time that is required, which in contrast, we can easily see what has been happened in China's zero COVID policy and how it has and manufacturers and also the forwarders. So in that respect, I'm sure India has taken a leap in that direction, and that momentum is already there. Where the ball is going to grow bigger and bigger.
Thank you. Yeah, every opportunity, every crisis gives an opportunity as well. And you were at the right place at the right time, I guess. Harish, my next question is to you. We have a huge working population, perhaps one of the youngest in the world. And do you see this as an impediment or an asset for us? Factory of the world.
So yes, good afternoon, everybody. You know, impediment, no. Asset, yes, definitely.
house, he works, he has learned by hand-me-down trade. Whereas when you go to Europe or US or the first world countries, the plumbers are highly skilled technicians. They're expensive, but highly skilled. Their job is like that. So what is your take on that? And what is your remedy to resolve this? We definitely lack the skill set.
Exactly. No, that's what I was about to share. Yeah, we can certainly say, yeah, India with a young workforce is really going to be the asset. And also, if everybody knows, India is the second largest English-speaking, economy, and more than 5% of Indians speak English. Not only on the workforce, but in general, 5% of it. So that's a huge, huge advantage we have. But of course, as everybody, we are all talking about, the skill gap is certainly there. When exactly you are talking about those kind of low-level, let's say, employment, work, giving that kind of efficiency in terms of completing their work. When you talk about plumber and you talk about your air conditioning people, the kind of quality workmanship. So today we have the biggest number of engineers coming out of the system India is having, but how many engineers are directly employable? So that is a big gap is there. How the education infrastructure itself have to be revamped. Now maybe we are in a bit archaic system wherein the education, maybe it's a British system we are following, that is not up to the mark to directly getting employable students, let us say. So yesterday we were talking to some of our friends here, even in terms of logistics. If you take Germany, they systematically have efficient schools, government-run organizations which will promote education of logistics as a diploma or whereas we don't have that kind of structure because India, if we want to have India into a like $5 trillion economy, we are all talking about in 2025 or 27, that has to happen. Directly into any logistics sector is still missing. So that gap
is still there. Not only in logistics, but I think Symbiosis and all are now having skilled. Amtroy has an MOU with them as well for that. I think, Harish, you give a lot of training programs for Amtroy and for your organization. What's your take on this, on the skill set? I mean, we definitely lack it. Not only in logistics, I'm talking overall.
Overall, you're right. We lack, but at least the seed has been sown. So, it's begun. And it's not something that we will have to reinvent the wheel. People who invented the wheel have made sure they've honed it. It's made perfect now. And all we need to do now is to bring forth that to our youth. And it's made our job easy. As a trader, I would say it's made our job easy, especially when you have something like the internet and you have ways where you can approach and get into people's houses to get them to learn. So things are getting easier, but then again, it's been brought up in a manner, whether it is our business or whatever we've learned from our fathers of how to do it. And so on it continues. So a plumber's son usually becomes a plumber, truck driver's son. But that is changing now, what we saw earlier. Look at our children, they're also saying that maybe I don't want to work with you anymore and I want to do something of my own. And that is what we need. So yes, you can see the changes and we have a future.
We have, of course, no doubt about that. Sharmila, you want to add anything to this question?
Quickly. We have to make it not only attractive, we're going to a simple example, I was with a multinational company. We decided that India having such a lot of population and skills for our back offices, we went to B schools, not the A grade business schools, and said finance, equity, So, being a global multinational company in the world, we were unable to attract these guys. So when I say attract means really female leading it, but attractive in the sense that people are attracted to join this business like every other business, like entertainment, or you get somebody, even,
the the
So that
fabulous.
when
So
I started my career, I'm doing logistics, and it's like, yeah, that's about 30 years back. Logistics, DHL. Look, at that time, DHL was part of the group where I was working with, and they said, yeah, but that's courier. So I said, no, but I do logistics. So somebody said, ultimately, I got so fed up. I said, smart. So we can just go on.
but times and things are changing. Let's look at it that you have webinars, seminars, and all these things happening about logistics today. And whether you like it or not, it's
Striking a chord.
yes, it is striking
Striking
a
a
chord
chord.
somewhere, someplace.
So one more point we have to look at is, okay, because India is in the perfect verge, as we all know, the freight industry, the logistics industry is getting transformed. So we are all moving into from legacy systems to digital systems, and India is in the perfect place to get just bang on, grab everything.
Yeah.
So we have the technology advancement. How many startups we are even today in these stalls, we are seeing the startups in tech-related startups which are into logistics. So now young team, young minds are ready to come into logistics because logistics is now seen more as Sharma madam is telling, it is moving away from a truck driver concept to technology
Absolutely.
concept.
Logistics is a career option. Absolutely right. We have to move on to the next question. Today, India is a global manufacturing hub with world-class factories being set up in India by the who's who of corporate. It's not keeping pace with it. If I may be bold enough to say, it is sorely lagging. Of course, immense steps are being taken right now to mitigate that, but it's taking its time. What is your opinion on the same, and what needs to be done to keep up with the all-round development? Harish, let's start with you.
So, okay, infrastructure, whatever you said,
I'm not limiting to logistics alone.
no, infrastructure by itself, like when you're looking at roads and everything, yes, there is a lot that is happening and it's going to take its own sweet time. But beyond infrastructure, let's also start looking at systems. Are we looking at these systems rightly? Are we creating a better efficiency plan in our organization? These are the things which will also help us work towards a much brighter future. Rather than, okay, we know what it is, we have to work with the current infrastructure, but what we can change ourselves is our systems, and that is what we need to look. So end of the day, what I feel is once the infrastructure is done and your systems and you're in the right place, you can imagine the efficiency and you can imagine where you will stand in the future.
Yeah, we have to get our house in order, but there is a huge energy crisis also. We are not able to keep up with it, right? With the factories and the huge demand. Sharmila, what's your
I feel
version
that
on
the
that?
main challenge is a lack of integration and connectivity between the different modes of transportation, such as the rail, road, and air. This can lead to delays, inefficiencies, and higher costs for the businesses trying to export. Not that the government is not doing it, you're right. We are not ready still today for it, but we are with Sagamala. And even for not just for so even exporters, there should be not just, I say it in terms of challenges for road, but there's even challenges for a complex regulatory environment. For example, time consuming to export goods, but they have started a platform called SWIFT for the exporters. So I think we are on the cusp of readiness for it, but we're still not there. We have a long way to go, still like China.
But we're on the right track.
We're
There's
on
no
the right
denying it.
track.
There's
Yeah,
no denying it.
absolutely.
Then we have a growth plan. Look, we have a,
For the first time.
yes, so that
For the first
we
time.
know what we are looking
We are
at,
looking.
and that's what matters.
That's what matters. Absolutely. Mr. Chandrasekhar, would you like to say anything here?
Only one point I would like to touch upon is the cabotage law. The cabotage law we were all talking about for many years, and I think I don't know. Of course, there are a lot of dignitaries there. Indian government is maybe working on it, but I think that should be moved, because we are seeing shipping companies wanted to move from, let's say, if they have a service, they want to deploy a service from Chennai into calling other international port and then come back to India. So that is, putting India in a bit negative situation, wherein there is a good opportunity that India can become a perfect hub to replace even Colombo. So if that cabotage law negatives, but because allowing into coastal transportation, yeah, that could be,
It's a game changer.
yeah, that certainly is going to be
It's
a game changer.
For a
for
7,500 kilometer coastline, it's
Yeah.
a game changer.
Yeah,
I
but you
agree.
know, Chandrasekhar, yesterday itself, wrote an article for somebody, one of the companies of India. The cabotage law has been changed for container vessels. Again, for bulk vessels also, up to 40%, if you're carrying something, you can do coastal. Plus, you're getting a special discount. The only problem now is for the big packages, the break bulk vessels. That is still not done because it's already coming in loaded, and that's what the permission is lying. The DG has given you the permission. The permission is with the customs. So the problem is with the finance ministry now. It's nothing to do with the commerce ministry.
Okay.
So
Now
you're right, we need to.
The container ships can.
Yeah, coastal, its permission is given.
That's great.
That law is changed for them.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
So Harish, according to you, what are the challenges besides infrastructure that India is going to face to become a $5 trillion economy, which is our Prime Minister's vision and aim?
There are two things. One is called training, the other is called safety. If these two is something that we hold on to, if we get, it's about us telling people to get trained. No, it is about ourselves also getting trained. Everything that is happening, that is new, we need to understand that before we set it down. Like, I'll give you a small example. You take the chemical industry. So the packaging is done perfect, but is the packing done properly or no? When they containerize it, is it done properly or no? What about the safety when it's been driven on the road? Have the drivers been trained? People who are handling it, have they been trained by the time it comes to the port? So this is what is dropping the efficiency. And at the same time, what we don't realize is that a simple incident is creating losses, which we don't calculate. We only calculate, what if I can get this transport 5% cheaper? And it doesn't matter if we have to.
We still look only at the cost, correct?
Yes. So we have to look beyond that. We have to look at the profitability over a period of time. We have to change our thought process.
So we are going back to skill development, basically.
No, I'm going back to
training.
Our thought process.
Thought process, yeah.
Our thought process has to change. It's not what you make today or what you save today. It's over a period of time. And then you will realize the actual growth.
Okay. Shamira, you are into projects in a big way. You represent a big German company. What do you think are the challenges India is facing besides infrastructure for becoming a $5 trillion economy?
You see, we are such a large country with not only just a large growing workforce, but even a huge growing consumer market and a culture heritage. We are not taking advantages of those. Look at our heritage. Look at the tourism that we can boost to reach the 5 trillion. Look at the workforce. We have reached in terms of technology, we are there in the world. Look at our TCS and Infosys. But what we are lacking is that the absolute manufacturing, which is creating the biggest hurdle. Take one or two companies, for example, I wouldn't like to name them. They're the world leaders in manufacturing in India, the world leaders today. We are now on the verge of making our own defense also. So the opportunities are all there, but with just certain laws that the government needs to assist and help for these manufacturings to push themselves much further. Of course, the GST has helped with so many of the different various taxes gone down. The only thing now lacking is the necessary infrastructure. 100 kilometers from near Bombay, there is a power shutdown every 3 to 4 hours. How does anybody continue its manufacturing unit in that kind of thing? Of course, I agree that huge ones have their own captive, but these huge ones are not going to make the 5 trillion. It's going to be the MSME and the SMEs which are going to be the push that will lead India to the 5 trillion. And if these don't come up, and if these don't have the necessary infrastructure, it's going to be a Herculean task to even reach that 5 trillion.
Noted. I'm giving you another question, Mr. Chandrasekhar. What are the you're a startup, you're a new age company as we speak. What are the verticals that you see as the futuristic growth in areas for India globally
Yeah.
for outbound?
Globally, if you see, already India is one of the top exporters, or leading producers of a lot of goods. Talk about milk products. Talk about agro. Talk about when we all about COVID, all the healthy eating, healthy habits have given a big boost into the agricultural market. We all our friends from Gujarat region can vouch for that on the export volumes, which has gone into the millets, the kind of the lead we have in that direction. But some of the areas where we could still focus on is network products. When you talk about electronics, computers, today Apple is setting up factories in India. But how much of percentage India is handling in terms of network products like electronics, computers, telecommunications compared to that of the Southeast Asian?
Microchips.
Yeah, we compare to Korea, Vietnam, China, or let's say Singapore, or all the freedom economies. So what is India's percentage is about 10%, and whereas all other Asian countries are having about 50% of that. So how can we, small and SMEs in India, can boost up their technology to upgrade into that level so that we can increase? That is where we can go into that trillion-dollar economy.
Sure. Sharmila, what do you see as the new age futuristic growth areas for India?
I think tourism, manufacturing by the small MSME, SMEs. Agro will play a part, but I don't think it's such a major part because we still have a long way to go in our agro. We have tens and thousands of millions small farmers. We haven't reached that scale. And to reach that, I myself am a farmer, 100 kilometers from here. It's a Herculean task to manage even a small 10-acre for me is to find the people to work there. We haven't got the technology there to even operate our own little farm by ourselves. We are not able to get the manpower. We claim to have such a huge workforce. Nobody wants to do that work anymore. So who is going to do the work?
But India is the
IoT.
breadbasket of the world as well. I mean, and for us, we have a huge population to feed.
That's what I said, but that's not available. Everybody wants to come into the city centers. Now the place is so attractive. Let me tell you, there is a engineering college there. There is a pharmacy college there. There's a law college. There's an architectural college. If you read the review of that place, right next to where the farm is, they only review the students, right? Great college, beautiful place to study, no form of entertainment. So there's not even a small movie theater in that area for someone to go and relax. How much can you go on the water seaside and put your legs and paddle in the water? So that attractiveness, I again go back. We need to make things so attractive for
In the
people to
hinterland.
say, I
In the
like it."
hinterland,
Yeah.
yes.
In the hinterland.
I feel just continuing from what you said, that there was everything around, all kinds of colleges. But what was not around over there was an agricultural college. Just to bring forth this thing.
I'm sorry, it's right there. It's even called, it's called horticulture
No,
college.
but you,
and
I don't know, but you
sorry.
mentioned it, so I said if
There were 8 streams. Forget that. There's an international school. My plumber, when I asked him coming from the village, I said, this not, can you come? The moment I gave the address, he said, next to the college, right? And I said, yeah, right there. And he said, my daughter studies in international school. And I said, 2 minutes, I wondered how he could even afford that 80,000 rupees a year. But he says, I manage.
so what we actually, how do I put it? Like, we do not create the right kind of infrastructure close to the resources. Now, until and unless, we don't do that, our costs will always keep going up. If we have to get raw material from far away, by the time it comes back to a place, and then it has to go back again for delivery, all these costs are there. You have to reduce one. Either you're closer to a raw material or you're closer to your
We have
distribution.
to develop the hinterland basically to
So
avoid
these
this
things-
mass exodus to the cities as well, I think. Yeah.
It is.
Yes.
But see, what else? You cannot prevent it today, because at one time we say that, we are not getting the right people. If they're coming in to get the jobs, we say they are not trained. So I think it's us. End of the day, people like us who have to put our foot forward and say, yes, we'll trade you. And not to worry about the fact, which I have given up now, saying that you can learn in my organization, you can go and join anybody else. I have given up that, am I a training center? But that thought process is gone. It's fine if his future is better in some other organization and he can learn, let him learn.
Sure. Thanks. You want to add something, sir?
Yeah, one more thing I wanted to add is, when you talk about, what are the other challenges, Indian expo SMEs, India is more of, when you talk about forward participation, for example, we import a lot of raw cotton, we export a lot of yarn, but there is no backward participation wherein we import value-added material and then add more value. Maybe we import a lot of fabrics and we export a lot of high-end apparels. Just to compare why we lost the chunk of business or biggest business into Bangladesh. Bangladesh is very close to us, and they are one of the leading producers because they could hold the FDI. Where could the FDI come in? Because where there is backward participation, they bring in their stuff. They do the value addition. They use the cheap labor. They use the value addition. In that way, they import technology into the country, and then they export bit more value added product. I think that is also the direction we have to move. I'm not
Sure.
saying we are not doing it, but I think
No, we have lost to Bangladesh there.
exactly. So how can we revamp that? I think that is
That
also
needs
one
to be
point
done.
we have
Yeah,
to look
yeah.
at.
I think the cheap labor force paid put to that. But you have something to add to this? No.
Just saying that you lost to Bangladesh because of your policies and not because of anything else.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you had that quotas and
Yeah,
all these things, which made you lose
Exactly.
the
It came down
business
to the
and
cost
people.
factor.
It was a lot of Indian people who went and set up shops
Yes.
in Bangladesh to start it.
Very true.
So just
So, free trade agreements is a penultimate question. Free trade agreements have been signed. We have done around 13 of them, if I'm given to understand correctly. How will this help us? You think it's a good thing? Do we do more? Do we do less? Are we impeding our growth in a certain way? Different schools of thought on this.
I think every free trade agreement is a long-term agreement. You cannot look at it as a short-term. You need to understand that the basic fact that we have gone and said we want a free trade agreement, the other person has also come halfway to shake hands with us. So as we need them as much as they need us, and that's what a free trade agreement is all about. Because we see that there is an opportunity, and they see that they also have an opportunity to do something. But yes, it's going to help you over a long term. It's not going to help you tomorrow, day after.
Affects a long term.
Yes,
Correct.
it does.
Sharmila, you want to add anything here?
I think at least from the taxation point of view, that should help most of the countries. These double taxations that foreign companies were here and they were finding it tough to handle, and the laws, because they have a financial year which ends in December. We have one which ends in March, and we have to file two books of accounts. It was tough. So I hope with this FTS, these things at least could get sorted out first. That's the most important thing. And of course, it will benefit us, as we recently read. The rupee can now be traded in 18 countries. Now, what better thing can we expect than from this? I mean, that's amazing, because the kind of foreign exchange that we needed to applications for making, and even for a foreign Indian company to repatriate the money was a tough thing. So now when you can trade in Indian rupees, I think it's absolutely fabulous for the Indian exporters and importers.
Just imagine the amount of profit in exchange loss
We are
that you will
losing-
make.
I know we had in a book
Just count those cents, and you'll really imagine the money that is lost only in exchange.
Because RBI and SBI both themselves have a different exchange rate per day. Forget the foreign banks. We had an exchange rate books of 27.8 crores, and the IT is asking us, what is this? I said, you guys answer. What do we answer you?
True. So I'll come to my last question. I want to come to and I'll start with you. It's a little sensitive subject. One vertical which is of particular interest, greenfield for India, is defense. India now not only plans to become indigenous and self-reliant for its defense, it wants to become a manufacturing hub for the world. That's a big thing, huge thing, very sensitive topic. Do you think the private sector will be able to play a role in this and deliver?
Certainly, because we can take it directly from our big friends' example, from the US. So how US private companies are delivering to the world with the support of the government. So why not India? We have the best of the best minds, and we have the precedents of the great Dr. Abdul Kalam. So why can't? Is my question.
Good, quite good. Sharmila, you?
I think we can. I mean, we will overcome it. We are one of the largest companies in the world now into defense, which is L&T. And we were, if I'm not mistaken, at one point of time, lots of small SMEs, MSMEs, supplying to these same world defense companies for making their defense. Now, if that same thing can be replicated and done in the smaller manner to collaborate with the various Indian companies. I'm sure we can do it. And it's not that China did it everything on their own. Huh? Don't forget, they first called the world, looked at them and became the world's copy masters. We don't want to be copy masters. We don't mind. Our government is saying, please come, collaborate, join hands with us, and we are with you. And that, I think, is a far better working environment for our country than what people will look at from China. And I think the COVID made the world realize that they were so dependent on this one country that we may have lost some of the grounds to Vietnam, but I think we're still there in the running. And I think we should take this opportunity with both hands, not just one.
Harish,
The size of our country says enough about us.
our
So,
population.
yes. And that's the asset that we should be looking at. So it
This
does
will
not
work.
matter.
This will happen.
There is no choice.
Correct.
There is no other way. You are only heading that way. But the point is that are we willing to take that as an advantage, learn from it, and create it better? Or are we going to just let it go? That's up to us.
Okay, so I'm getting glares from Vaijanti to now wrap up or whatever. So I think so. So final thoughts on the subject, creating global linkages with India, outbound opportunities. Then we'll open it the floor. So Harish, you first.
I think over our discussion, we've discussed everything about the opportunities that are there. And it all depends on what you specialize in today. Every person has a certain specialization, whether they recognize it or not. But if you look at that and you can concentrate and work on those, I feel that is the way forward, that everyone should not be doing everything. What you specialize in, look at that and let others grow with you rather than just trying to push anybody else down. Sorry, I've got
Absolutely. Sharmila.
For a long time, the exporters had a very nice opportunity to export. The LOGIX kept blaming the logistics. The logistics costs are high, and because of that, we cannot compete globally. And I think that has now been taken care of. And I think the perception of this 14%, 13% is all wrong. The real figures are very, very much less. It's close to between 6 and 7 and 8.
Eight.
Depending on what you are doing or how you calculate it. So we've never calculated the inventory. We've never calculated the loss. You need to minus all these things that you keep adding to this cost. So I think, it's going great for these exporters. There's nothing wrong with all this 18 countries, rupee trade, and I think they have it all. What more can they ask?
Thank you. So Chandrasekhar, we'll end with you. Any final thoughts?
No, final thought is one thing we should not forget. The next best developing continent is Africa, and that is a low-hanging fruit for all the SMEs and even for all logistics companies out of India. And that's an explosion of opportunity there. I think that is
That's
one
the
note
next
I
big
want
thing.
to.
Yes, absolutely. And I think even Saudi Arabia, it's opening up in a big way, and we have historical ties. So I think the road ahead is quite paved with gold, as they say. Let's hope we can.
Competition is best.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it only owns you. It makes sure that, you are
Thank you.
always there.
True. So a big thanks to the panelists for the official panel discussion. Thank you very much. We open the floor for any Q&A. Any questions you may have for the panelists, please feel free to raise your hand. It seems you've done a good job. We have no questions, so.
You've done a good job.
I don't think so. Oh, so is there. Not entirely, yes.
My name is Srinath from Sarero School of Logistics and Supply Chain Management, which is a recent startup. When Madam was talking about her experience of recruiting 40 people from 40 students from A grade college, and after the year only 3 people left. So if that is the case, what is the advice you are telling to the newly started logistics school institutions? And another question to Mr. Chandrasekhar is, he was talking about logistics to be a career option. That's what he said. How to pull the students to take logistics as a career option? Can I have some views?
Again, I said it is not us. We
No,
laid
general.
the platform, we laid the pavement, we made the way, we gave them the opportunity. How can you not work in the world's 3rd largest company and say tomorrow, after 1 year, that this is not what I wanted to do? So this is what I'm trying to say. We have made it so attractive for me. We need to make it so much more attractive. Like we as an MTOI body, we are fighting for an SRO status. If the government today agrees that yes, this is also a recognized industry, like every other industry, I am sure the talent will continue to retain and grow. It's not that it's not there. Please don't get me wrong. They are there on the ships. They are there as engineers, they are there as the first officers, they're there as captains. But back offices, down the line, this is where they don't want to stay and continue to stay.
No, exactly, sorry. Exactly
Okay,
on
you-
the point of Sharmila madam, to get this recognized industry. So that once that comes in, automatically the people will come in, because the logistics is the best career where you can travel a lot, you can meet a lot of people, you can have all the fun, still work, So you can't beat it. So that how can, as a school, as a professional education center, how can you bring that into your students? Is okay. There are two factors. One is if it is recognized. I'm just comparing again to Germany, wherein logistics is a systematically recognized schools and from the government, in the industry from the government. That is a big impetus to the industry itself, wherein all the freight forwarding companies are getting directly students from those kind of schools, which are recognized. So once you have it, you directly come as at a very high level of salaries. Not against for, when you talk about in India, when you take people at lower level, they are so low level. There are a lot of other competing industries which are giving bit higher level, so just jump out.
I can tell you that even today, I have an average every year, minimum 25 students who come in for internship into my company. Every year. I ensure that I give them this opportunity.
Madam, is the creating awareness is required? the
So
need
can
of
you
the-
raise your mic a little higher?
Is it the creating more awareness is a need of the hour on this logistic industry?
Awareness is already there, sir. People are aware. For example, there are institutes like CII itself as a logistics school. There are two in Pune. One is the Indira and one is the other one. I don't remember. I was
Symbiosis.
teaching myself. No,
Symbiosis.
Symbiosis is the third
Skill
one.
development,
Yeah.
yeah.
This is in Pune itself, the Indira School of Logistics. They have 650 students. I go there on their graduation ceremony and I speak to all of them and then ask them where are they going to go from there. Believe me, I didn't have anyone putting up their hands and say, we want to come to your company. So that is what I'm saying. In spite of it being there, and as you rightly said, this needs to be given a much more attractiveness for people to say, this is my career. Everybody wants to become a doctor, engineer, a lawyer, or something like that. You can still pursue that. I personally feel that. But, we are not going the way Germany goes. My own colleague in Germany, I was still studying to become a graduate in BCom, where at 22, he was already a general manager. Because the moment he finished his schooling, he straight went into the logistics school, which was only for 2 years. By 14, he was already graduate with a degree in logistics, working, started in the port, and at 22, he was the GM. At 22, I was just starting. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions, please? Okay. I think the gentleman there. Yes.
I just want to add to what Sharmila says on the attractiveness of the business. I own a shipping company. I'm the first father whose son was headhunted out by some other industry. So this is how attractive this business is.
Very true. Actually, just to add on to what you said, sir, in the old days at least, or before, if you didn't get a job anywhere else, you used to come to our industry. That is so. Even today, to a certain degree. If you didn't get a job, shipping is always open, which is wrong, per se. Anyway, so I think we have ended. Thank you, Vejante, and over to you all. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.